This computer. Welcome to another session for the resume workshop for resume efficiency. We have 𝗤𝗄𝗧𝗏𝗃, and Ganesh. So before I start the session, 𝗤𝗄𝗧 was with me yesterday, but we didn't have very good internet. Any hot burning questions, or what do you want to let me know so that I can address that specifically and tailor this session to the three of you? Who wants to start? So Kaushik, go ahead.
I'm just curious to know about this ATS score thing. Like, some people at some of the networking events say that ATS is a myth, which is not really a concerning thing. But some of the students, like my seniors who have been graduated recently, and some people say that ATS score is a must thing in your resume. It should be above 90, 95. So I'm getting this mixed reviews regarding the ATS score. I know we have VMOC for checking the ATS. That's not a concern for me, but whether what my issue is, whether we should really focus on the ATS score or just focus on the unique parts of the resume. That's what I'm confused about.
Okay, good. We can answer that for sure. Anything else you wanted to add, Kaushik? That was a good concern.
Currently, there are one or two firm, but I could only recall the ATS one because
Okay.
All my applications are getting rejected. I don't know whether even after tailoring according to the job description. So I think ATS should be a concern.
Okay, you came to the right place. I'm going to start with your resume, and then I'm going to go to 𝗤𝗄𝗧 from yesterday. So stand by with your resume. So Kaushik, I want to cover yours first, unless
Okay.
anybody objects. Anybody else want to tell me what's hot on their mind so I could address it for this specific session?
Yeah, I have the same question as Sai. Yeah, the same concerns as him.
ATS?
ATS.
Okay.
Yeah, resume not getting picked. Yeah, that's my concern.
Okay, so are you in the same boat as Sai Kaushik, where he's sending out resumes and he's getting no responses?
Yes, same thing.
Okay, cool. So I guess have your resume on standby. 𝗤𝗄𝗧, my friend from yesterday. Where do you want to catch me up? Were you able to listen to the complete recording?
Oh yeah, I just watched the recording like yesterday, and
Hot
think
questions?
yeah, I'm just gonna stick with my bullet points. Like, how do we have to arrange them as per the job description?
Yeah.
That would go with the number 1 point of the design principles, and yeah, that's pretty much it that I want to know about.
Okay, nothing else for me to know about our conversation from yesterday?
Oh yeah, from conversation from yesterday. So, the other thing that I watched the video was after I left, unfortunately, because I was on the road. So, I was on the countryside, so my internet just cut off. So, you guys were talking about the hooks in the summary and how you have to arrange your bullet points as per the job description.
It was more relevance was the
yeah.
conversation. That's what
Yeah.
I tried to do with you when your internet was going bad. So we had some of that with Dev. So I'm not sure if you related some of my conversation with Dev to your resume, because we covered the same topic essentially, but I was using Dev instead of UNIT. So did some of that translate to you or no?
Yeah, some
If
of
it
the
didn't,
bullet
I'll just
points.
cover it today.
Yeah, some of the bullet points that I was going through on my resume, like I had the same like the words to start the bullet points. Like the example you guys were talking about was like you researched on collecting data and then run analysis of the vision models on it, and you guys were like explaining more like you actually collected the data for 100,000 images. You have to mention that in the bullet point.
Yeah, what I was doing was looking more for the results from a standpoint.
results.
Because his problem, the problem that we had yesterday was, aside from the relevance, the problem was they were talking more tasks versus results. So you're kind of like in this group, 𝗤𝗄𝗧, you're ahead. So I'm gonna like back off a little and bring 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 and Ganesh on board. And then I will meet you to where we finished the conversation yesterday. Is that
Oh, yeah,
okay?
that's fine.
Okay, anybody else remember anything from as I was speaking to it? Otherwise, I'd like to start the conversation by sharing the LinkedIn group. All of you guys are part of the LinkedIn group, right? Ganesh and 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, very good. So the reason that's very important is, as you notice, okay, I'm doing this for the purposes of the people who are not in the LinkedIn group, because this recording is going to go out as well. All you need to do in the LinkedIn box, make sure that you're home. Actually, I'm going to test Ahad's knowledge. I guess, tell me what to do. Ahad, how does one find the Illinois Tech Career Services Group?
You just type in IIT Career Services Group and just go in.
No, it's not IIT, it's Illinois.
Oh yeah, Illinois Tech Career
Tech
Service.
Career Services, very
Services.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what it likes to do is it shows you the people version of Illinois Tech Career Services. We don't want the people, we actually want the groups.
Groups.
So after you click groups, if you're not part of it, it's going to say join. If you're part of it, which I expect 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 and Ganesh, they should be able to see the posts. And what do I need to do at this point?
You have to go through to find the index, which is like in all the comments of each
Very
post.
good. So I just
go.
scroll down until I see index, right? So it's not showing, index, first instance. Scroll down, another instance. So you can click if anything, we put it as a comment in all the posts so that people can find it. So once you click the link, this shows you an at a glance view of the topics in this index. So since we're talking about resume today, I'm going to click on resume, but I want to point out that there's LinkedIn, there's interview, internship, there's hashtag international, which is very important if you're an international student. So feel free to play around after this call, once you get off from this. The document that you're seeing, we're actually in transition. This is being worked on, but this document that you see for any link that you click goes to the same document. This used to be a repository of follow-up material to appointments like this. This is a group coaching, but one-on-one appointments, etc. So we had to find an easy way to make use of the information without a lot of work. So the easiest thing was in the Google Docs was to put hashtag in front of the topic. Hence, hashtag business relations is one topic, hashtag communication, hashtag cover letter, hashtag international, hashtag resume. You get the point. So one can do a Control F, hashtag resume, or a Command F, hashtag resume. And Ganesh and 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃, you guys following so far? Stop me if there are any questions, all right?
Yep.
This is highly interactive. All right, so you want to click on the homework that's usually given for a resume appointment or a resume group coaching is the 9th bullet that says resume design principles. And you heard a bit of this conversation while Ahad was sharing, because this is the basis of the following questions that you guys have in your resume. Any question that has to do with a resume is answered by those design principles. And it doesn't seem obvious, but your ATS question is addressed by these bullet points as well. So I'm going to go directly to bullet point number 4. Okay, number 4 is saying it's your job search. Consider advice, including my advice. So to your point, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃, the advice of your friend saying that, ATS doesn't work. Some people say you need to pay attention to it. Some people say you don't. It's your job search, so consider any advice, but it's your call as to how you want to address your job search. So it's kind of like weight loss, right? People have all sorts of ideas for weight loss, but the basic principle is really just eat less and move more, right? But there's all sorts of iterations of the information. Is there a one-size-fits-all for weight loss? No. Is there a one-size-fits-all for job search? And the answer is no. So you consider every information that's given you, but at the end of the day, you make the call as to what you do with your job search. So we're starting the job search with resume, obviously. So Ganesh, And 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗧𝗏, what do you get out of bullet point number 1? There's 2 things I want you to get out of number 1. What are they? Think like the hiring manager in their job description. Ensure that the resume highlights results and accomplishments and not task descriptions. So what do I want you to take away from bullet number 1?
Yeah, so as a hiring manager, we see the candidates' achievements rather than what they did, like their normal job duties.
Okay, so
it's,
most of the,
yeah.
The
Mhm.
usual problem, actually, that's what 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗧𝗏 was referring to. When I took a look at their original resumes, I saw mostly task descriptions versus accomplishments and results. So this is to the point that 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗧𝗏 made earlier. He sent out a bunch of resumes. He's not getting calls for it. The reason why he's not getting it falls into number 1 and number 2, okay? So very good. You need to think like the hiring manager in their job description. You have to address what they're looking for. Okay, and number 2, talk about your results. All right, talk about your results, Ganesh, versus just talking about job description, about task descriptions. So what's the difference between the 2? Descriptions versus results.
Results, which mean we need to quantify our impacts, the outcome of the work which we have done. Maybe the quantification part, which refers to the major part of the results.
Why is
And the
quantification important?
Because it is way too easy to consider, to look at the time of scanning our resume, because we only
I
get,
like how you said it.
as a
Make it
hiring
easy.
manager point of view, it's like only they give on an average 7 to 10 seconds. So the better amount we quantify, it gets like eye-catching, so that our resume gets noticed.
Very good. Good job, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗧𝗏. So number 2, we're saying that the hiring managers have very little time, which you alluded to. So when you create a resume, part of your strategy and part of the psychology in creating an effective resume is to honor the fact that the reader is very, very busy. And hence, you kind of related it to number 1. If your job is for them to understand your impact, if they picked you for the job, or even if they picked you to interview, you have to communicate that very efficiently, okay? Otherwise, they're not going to call you, right? So I'm going to be looking for those things. Stand by with your resume, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗧𝗏. And then the second part that we want to get out of number 2 is that you want to give them the information that's relevant, meaning relevant to the job description, and you want to give that information sooner versus later. So that plays out into the entire resume, and we'll see it really shortly. Are there any questions about 1, 2, and 4 that we've covered so far?
No.
No questions?
No.
All right, number 3. Number 3 is quite easy. It's just saying that if you take the time to tailor your resume and go through the thought process with number 1 and number 2, then your job at the interview is going to be much, much easier. Because guess what the interview is? It's really going through the same screening process, but you now have more time to express it verbally via conversation and body language, okay? So now you know what the design principles are. I'm gonna go to, for an effective resume here really quick. It's saying go to the index. So 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗧𝗏 showed us how to go to the index. Once you're in the index, you scroll down under hashtag resume. There's this section that has group coaching, and then we have the spring guide. We kind of did this for the spring career fair. So we had a bunch of resume sessions. And as a result of that, I even like specified what those sessions were, okay? Like the session yesterday was specifically relevant to the job description. And if you're noticing some of them tailoring, and then some of them, they're new to the concept of resume efficiency. So aside from the recordings, you also have the case studies, all right? You have like about 19 or 20 recordings, and then you have all these case studies that shows you the old resume versus the new resume. So going back to that resume efficiency, I showed you the index, showed you hashtag resume, showed you the workshops, and then you saw the case studies. And then we even show you with these links how to use AI to refine the bullets as soon as you get into it. So Without, are there any questions about that? Otherwise, I'd like to start with 𝗧𝗰𝗂𝗃𝗃. Well, you guys didn't tell me. Oh, actually, I am. I got rid of the button. So 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃, please share your resume. And then I'm going to ask for first impressions from 𝗤𝗃 and Ganesh relative to the discussion that we just had to troubleshoot why you are not getting called in for interviews. So please share your resume, 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃.
I'm able to share my screen. Can you just
Yes, we can see it.
acknowledge? Okay.
All right, 𝗤𝗃, I'm going to give you first dibs because you're the most experienced. Actually, the size was good, Kaushik. You went the opposite direction. Go back to make it bigger because we're going to scroll down. Make it very good. So scroll down slowly. I want to hear Ganesh and 𝗤𝗃's impressions based on the design principles that we spoke of.
Okay.
Keep going. Keep going. And how many resumes would you say you've sent out, 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃?
Sorry.
How many resumes have you sent out?
I mean, like, how many applications did I put?
Yes.
I mean, there's no count actually. Approximately, I could say around 250 to 300, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
I know it's
And
very
nobody's
less.
called you. No, it's not a matter of less or more.
I
Okay.
got calls. Like, I got shortlisted for Chase, for software engineering internship. I cleared till the final round. Unfortunately, they ghosted me. The same happened with IBM security as well. I cleared 3 coding rounds, and then after that, there was one HireVue video interview round. They never reached out back to me, even in spite of after like me reaching out to them. I didn't get any response. I just got to know from one of the top directors stating that IBM is currently laying off, so we are not hiring any of the international students. And then recently, like maybe
Okay, hang on. Let me cut you off, please. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I don't need the entire. I misunderstood what you said earlier because I was under the impression when you asked about ATS that you were concerned about ATS because it sounded like your resume wasn't getting it, but you've been to a couple of interviews with some really good companies. So, because as I was looking at your resume, I was expecting it to be bad and it's not. All right. Actually, before I say anything, I want to hear what 𝗤𝗃 and Ganesh have to say relative to the design principles.
Yeah, I would like to add that the summary could have been better. I mean, it's my opinion. I think that's too long
I
for
actually
anyone to
agree
read.
with you.
Yeah.
Long isn't the problem for me. So, okay, 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, Ganesh and I kind of zoomed in on your summary. And guess why we zoned in on it? It's like your opening remarks, if you will. It's the first thing that people see. So I agree with Ganesh. He says it's long. I say it could be more catchy. Okay, you had the right idea of creating a summary so that you catch their attention immediately, but you didn't maximize the opportunity to. But since you were getting some calls for resume, I mean, the resume performance in general is quite good despite that. So the reason we're sharing that with you, 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, if you were getting interviews before with this resume, you'll get even more interviews after we modify. Thank you, Ganesh. 𝗤𝗃, any comments?
The first thing was a summary that I wanted to point out, and I don't know if it's like zoomed in, that's why it's looking like that, but everything is like squished up, I think, too much. It's not like easy to
That's
go
the least
through.
of my concerns. I'm more concerned about okay, so 𝗤𝗃 is giving visual effects. That's usually the last thing I talk about, but I guess we can consider that later if you can note that down, 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃.
Can you just repeat it again? I didn't get it. What 𝗤𝗃 said.
It looks squished.
The marginings.
Yes, is what he said.
Like too close to each other, like the wordings.
So that's probably a font issue. He's saying from the readability, his first impression was it kind of like looks scrunched. So just note that. More of what we're talking about today. I mean, if you wanted to talk about format, there's all sorts of other things in the survey, but I'm more concerned about your content. So I think you have pretty good content, but it looks like everybody's.
It does have like everything like it have technologies in this bullet points. It has results in it. It's like 50%, 40%.
Okay, anything else?
Pretty fine.
It's actually not fine because I'm going to drill down into it.
That's
We'll
it.
find out
Yes.
whether it's fine shortly.
I
It
mean,
looks
if I
good
like,
up
if I,
on first blush.
yeah, if I go like skim through it, it looks pretty fine. Like in the,
Yeah, actually, and he kind of clarified that he was getting interviews. So it sounds like we may have to have a conversation about how your interviewing goes aside from that, but it doesn't look like your resume is the problem, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏. So now based on everything that you've heard so far in the design principles, what's your self-assessment?
Maybe I need to look at the summary of, objective section again.
Okay. So let me share the screen
I
really quickly.
even I thought of like I've seen a couple of my friends' resumes or people who share resumes on the LinkedIn. I noticed that objective section is like only 2-3 sentences, but then I couldn't format my
I'll
I mean
help
I
you.
couldn't rephrase
No
that
problem.
in two,
Thank
three
you.
sentences.
Yeah, I can help you with that. So that's not an issue, okay? So it's not about 2 sentences. It's not about 3 sentences. It goes back to design principle number 1. What is it that the job description is looking for? And then what does 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 have to offer as far as results that match what they're looking for? So it's not a matter of the number of sentences. Do you guys get the distinction?
Yeah.
So I see that you said you've been looking at some resumes on LinkedIn, yada, 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 to the point that we spoke about number 4. Different people have different opinions, but nobody can argue with the point I just made. Okay? If a hiring manager is looking for something very specific, and then you tailor it to what you have to put on the table as far as results, and then you match it up, it's not a matter of 1 line, 2 lines, or 5 lines. It's a matter of relevance and how it matches it. Okay, if it was longer because you truly matched everything that they said, I wouldn't worry about length. Are you guys understanding the distinction I'm trying to make versus, all these quote unquote rules? I'm giving you strategies from the design principle standpoint. You guys understand?
Yeah.
Questions? No questions? I'd like to share the screen, please. So let me go back to the index and share some of the things that we had. All right, I'm going to close this window and then let's go to the index case study. I'm going to case study 4 better. So we're saying study the job description and then talk about your results relative to the job description. So when you observe this resume, I want you to keep that in mind. All right, so the student understood what the job description said, and then they tailored this resume, specifically their opening remarks, also known as objective, also known as summary, to address what the hiring manager is looking for. You guys getting an idea? Which one is more powerful, Kojo's summary or 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏?
So this feels better.
Why?
Quantification, highlighting what it did actually.
Okay, I want you to stop saying
Illumination.
quantification. Quantification is the means to show the result, okay? So what's really standing out is the result, okay? I don't want you to think that just because you quantified, that's great. All right, quantification is a means to the result. And the reason you want the result is you're showing your impact. That's what makes you rise above the crowd, because you talk about your results, okay? The quantification is a means to do that. All right. So if you take a look at what Kojo said, actually the first part, I'm not a big fan of this first part, but I kind of said in the design principles so that, it's your job search, do what you want. So he liked talking about these ambiguous words. The reason I don't like summaries that talk about like his first sentence is it looks just like the very traditional resume where people give flowery words, versatile, highly technical, customer centric. The problem when you give words like this is you have to think that your resume is going to a stranger. So how do they know that Kojo is versatile? How do they know that he's highly technical? How do they know that he's customer centric? Versus if he gave results and accomplishments that describe his versatility or that describe his high technical competence, then it's unquestionable. Okay, so the first way of showing it is anybody can say it. The second way of showing it, when you share your results, nobody can question. And that's why you rise above the crowd, because nobody has the same results as you do. Questions? No questions? So let's take a look at case study 5. Better is a freshman. This freshman just graduated from high school, but actually let me show the previous version. Aha, did I show you this resume? Did we discuss this yesterday?
I don't think so.
Okay, so good. I don't want to bore you either, so I'm trying to pick different examples here. So
We went
this is
through,
his
I think,
old,
number 7.
yeah, this is his old resume. That's why I'm staying away from number 7, man. I don't want to cover the same thing. So Benjamin just graduated from high school. This was his original resume. He had education, skills, and I like how 𝗏𝗏𝗃 actually put that much later. And then he talked about his volunteer work. But if you notice, none of this applies to like anything technical, right? So this was the version before he had a session like we are having now. And then when you take a look at his after results, notice how 𝗏𝗏𝗃, pay attention to the remarks that we said earlier about the opening remarks. Computer science major, developed and programmed Java, HTML, identified 2,000 plus URLs. Do you see how he's talking about results that only Benjamin brings to the table? I want reactions from 𝗏𝗏𝗃 and Ganesh.
Yeah.
So are you getting ideas as to what to do with your resume?
Yes.
Okay. Ahad, question?
No.
No question? All right. So I'm going to cover how to do that, 𝗏𝗏𝗃, but I want to see Ganesh's resume, please. So I
Yeah.
can cover, any issues at the same time.
Sharing my screen.
Yes, we can see it. Do
Yes.
any of you need to leave at 1:15? Because I want to extend this and I want to stay on the call until we finish this discussion and you have action items for your resume. Anybody have to leave?
I'm good. I don't need
No.
to leave.
Okay, cool. We'll just finish this with everybody then. Awesome. First thing that comes to mind, Ganesh, first comment to you. You are in the United States, different culture. My full name is Bernard Benjamin Bautista Floresca. Did you see that on LinkedIn?
Yes.
I did not say Bernard Benjamin Bautista Floresca on LinkedIn.
Keep
So
it short.
well, when you're looking for a job in a particular environment, you're in the US now, right? If you're looking for a job in the US, the practice is first name, last name, right? So if I were you, don't make it harder, because you have to admit that this is being read by human beings. And usually when something is uncomfortable, and uncomfortable, i.e. different, sometimes people have this discomfort or, you never know how humans react. So I'm just saying, in a very competitive job market, don't make that any harder for them. Sometimes I've spoken to other people where, for whatever reason, they can't change it. That's fine. I'm not going to force you to do it. I'm just saying, fit in if you want to make it easier to help you as part of your strategy in job search. Questions, Ganesh?
Got it. Yeah, I
Make
think,
sense?
yeah.
Okay, so it's up to you whether you want to change it or not. But like I said, I do not have all my 4 names on my LinkedIn or my resume, okay? I can understand the question that sometimes people say, but that's my legal name. Well, they haven't hired you yet, okay? A resume is not a legal document. If they hire you, show them your passport, then you can show them the entire name, okay? So it's a difference.
Got it.
We're just talking about input into getting hired. So I bet you have a you have a self-assessment of your summary.
Mhm.
What's your self-assessment?
Show them the results.
Very good. So let's, excuse me. So you're applying for internship or full-time?
Full-time.
Okay, full-time. I wouldn't put education first. And by the way, I just noticed something in the top. You want to put Chicago, Illinois 60616. To the point that you guys made about ATS. Sometimes ATS looks for a zip code for locale. And then for your phone, get rid of the +1 because it screams international. Locals do not use +1. Okay.
Okay.
And then summary, you already told me that. Education actually refers to design principle number 2. Give them what they're looking for sooner versus later. If you're looking for a full-time job, education is the least of their concerns. Okay. I like how you highlighted the 4.0 and the 3.7. Rule of thumb, if it's 3.5 and above, highlight it, which you did. What I would do even for this is say GPA, get rid of the colon, and then 4.0/4.0. And then the first 4.0, I would even bold it.
Okay.
Okay. So just some little tweaks. Technical skills, you could do what 𝗏𝗏𝗃 did. Again, to design principle number 2, give them what they're looking for sooner versus later. You want to give them applied skills, also known as work experience, sooner. Okay. So this is where we were at, Ahad, when we were discussing your resume yesterday. So I'm going to continue the discussion from yesterday, Ahad, with Ganesh's resume. So Ganesh has 1, 2, 3. How many projects do you have?
I have 2 projects.
4, 5. All right. So Ganesh has 5 experiences that relate to a job description that he's looking at. So question number 1, Ganesh, did you tailor this resume to a specific job description?
Yeah. Yes. It's for front-end roles. So I've just focused on front-end
Okay.
technologies throughout this work
Very
experience and
good.
projects.
Very good. So according to the job description, and this is the relevance conversation from yesterday, Ahad, according to what you know from your studying of the job description, and according to what you know as far as your results that you could superimpose on their requirements, the job description, which one do they need to see first from your 5 experience? That's like a big time match for what they're looking for.
Yeah,
You
so
have
he's
5. Which one is number 1?
targeting for front-end roles, right? So I would put like second and third to push it up.
No, hang on, Ahad. This isn't you. This is a question for Ganesh. He's the one who studied the job description.
Well, yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
saying, yeah, I want to hear Ganesh because you didn't study the job description and you don't know Ganesh's background. So thank you for trying to share, but I want to hear this from Ganesh, okay? The reason I
okay.
brought your name up, Ahad, was you need to do the same thing with your resume. Based on your understanding of the job description, you need to know what you have to put on the table. So what's the answer, Ganesh? Which is top priority that they need to see first from your experiences?
Bring up the things where I've worked extensively on front end to the top, and put the least important to
Okay,
the
hang
top.
on. Which job is that? Illinois Tech?
Think this one
Okay,
highlights the
so
most.
stellar idea is the biggest match. So I'm going to call, for the purposes of discussion, I'm going to call stellar idea your segment 1. Okay, what's your segment 2?
We can go with this.
Okay, very good. KPMG is segment 2. What's your segment 3?
The Illinois Tech one.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I take it your work experiences are much more relevant versus your projects.
Projects are relevant too.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah,
Let me
these are
repeat the
also
question.
two.
Let me repeat the
Yes.
question. You then understand it. I said, according to the 5 experiences, show me which ones are the 5.
This,
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So
this,
from those
right.
5, which one is most relevant to the job description?
I guess these are the projects. Which are
Okay, between the 2, between GitHub and Lost and Found, which one is the top priority? GitHub or lost and found?
The lost and found.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat the question. According to the job description, what is most relevant is lost and found, and then GitHub, and then Becca, Stellar, and then KPMG, and then Illinois Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the
Yes.
problem with the way you wrote your resume at this point is it's not honoring design principle number 2. We said that they're very busy and you need to give them the information sooner versus later. The current way that you wrote your resume, which is correct, because resume should be in chronological order with the most recent job to the oldest job, okay? We have a problem because according to your answer to your relevance, you're all over the place. So that's where a summary comes in very, very handy, because do you remember Benjamin's resume?
Yes.
Do you remember Kojo's resume?
Mm-hmm.
So what those guys did is their summary came from this discussion that we are now having. Make sense?
Yeah.
What did you just learn?
Yeah. So get all the results from this and put it on top here, so it highlights what you did in this. I mean, the achievements, so that they don't have to go through the entire resume and just understand what I'm trying to tell them. Correct?
Okay, I want another version from Ganesh's there. 𝗧𝗰𝗄𝗃 and then 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗃. What did you just learn?
You have to like put in the brand of whatever is relevant to the job description and what is important for the hiring manager. And in this case, his first recent experience doesn't align with the role he's applying to, so he has to use his past experience and make a summary out of it and put it in the front.
Okay, so you're using the summary as a solution to your all over the place version of the resume, such that because the summary is now your hook, and because you know what they're looking for in the job description, and you know what your relevance is as far as your background, you curate it. So what you're doing essentially is you're kind of like putting everything nicely formed in a golden platter and then offering it to them at the beginning of the resume. So now they don't have to read through the entire resume, because they could possibly go through the entire resume, Ganesh. But here's the issue, okay? The readers for your resumes are also human beings. So let's just say it's a Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock and it's raining outside and I have to go pick up my kids. And then I just went through 500 resumes. And then guess who resume 501 is? It's Ganesh's resume. So I start going to the top, relevance, summary, very general. And then I take a look at the first experience, Illinois Tech, not relevant. Oh, I'm tired. I'm going to go home. Guess where your resume went?
Okay.
The garbage can. Are you guys seeing how the conversation we're having is about strategy and psychology?
Well, I have one more suggestion for this one. I don't know if it's right
No,
or
no
wrong, but
suggestions first. Please answer my question. Did you get the point
yeah.
that was trying to be made?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want Ahad, I want you to summarize. No, actually Ahad just gave it. I want to hear 𝗧𝗃𝗃 summarize what we just said about the summary, because you have to redo your summary now based on this discussion that we had in the last 5 minutes. So summarize it for us, 𝗧𝗃𝗃. What did we do? And then we'll go to Ahad's other suggestion.
I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, summary should also align with the job description given by the hiring manager. And it should, I mean, not only the summary, but the next of the work experience part and the project section I can't say that it should be completely aligned, because sometimes it's not possible, but most of the project descriptions, the bullet points should also align with the summary, which ultimately aligns with the job description given by the hiring manager. I mean, that's what uh, I could take of this conversation.
Yeah, I'm concerned with how you shared it. Anybody else hear something different, Ahad or Ganesh, from what 𝗧𝗃𝗃 said? No, my concern, 𝗧𝗃𝗃, is you missed the whole discussion out here. The reason I ask you guys to say, number one, study the job description, and then number two, according to your experiences that you have, whether it's work or project work, you need to find out which one is most relevant. And then if your experiences are quote unquote all over the place, like Ganesh's, then you have an opportunity to make it more coordinated such that you give them what they need first, according to their job descriptions. You get to curate it, okay? And then you get to arrange it the way that you want them to see it, such that they see you as very, very relevant. Is that what you said, 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗃?
Not really, but then I have
Yeah.
one doubt here. The point which you just told, you just mentioned that according to the job description, we need to keep our in the chronological order. That's what you're saying, right? So let's say, for instance, in the resume that Ganesh is displaying, the projects display the most, I mean, the projects align most of with the job description part. So correct me if I'm wrong. What did you explain how I got it? You're telling the projects part should be placed above the work experience. That's what you're telling?
No. According to Ganesh's resume, well, in this case, the answer is yes, because Ganesh's projects are actually, what he said was scroll down, please. Ganesh said GitHub was top priority that they need to see first. GitHub is his segment 1, Lost and Found is his segment 2. All right. So in this case, because both happen to be in projects, yes, he could put projects above work experience because that's most relevant. And then work experience he could put lower. And then when he starts his summary, he's going to start talking more about did you see how the summaries from the examples that I showed you, they were bits and pieces that were tailored. So now Ganesh is going to pick, which one is the top bullets in GitHub, which one is the top bullets in Lost and Found. The problem with this is he has 5 experiences. Does he put all 5 in the resume? The answer to that question is really dependent on how he matches the job description. Did that clarify it further? I see your question, 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗃, was on a lot of different levels. So did that bring clarity to where you're at? And then I want you to ask me more questions.
Yeah, one more question. So based on what you just demonstrated, but I have this confusion. A lot of people say, I mean, from the networking events that I've attended, so they just demonstrated if you have projects and work experience carries more weightage. So it should be placed first after our education section or after our objective section.
Yeah.
This is a unique case with the Ganesh resume. I clearly understand it,
Yeah,
but in generalized perspective,
there's no
how
in
can-
general. There's no in general. That's why the talk about the design principles is very specific to the person. And you're absolutely right. Ganesh is very directly to this. So actually, Ganesh, could you stop sharing? I want 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗃 to talk to me with his questions based on his resume. So I want you to tell me which one's segment 1, segment 2, like that, 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗃.
I'm sorry, I didn't get you segment 1 and
Share your
segment 2.
resume.
Okay, just give me a minute.
So show us segment 1, which is the most relevant experience that you have to offer. Do you have a job description in mind, 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗃?
Okay.
Is that a yes or a no?
Yeah, that's a yes. So this
Okay.
would be segment 1, the one which I'm
So
highlighting
Thomson
now.
Reuters is your segment 1. What's your segment 2?
Segment 2 would be this one, 𝗨_Infocom.
What's your segment 3?
Then followed by my academic projects.
Which one? You have 3.
This would be the first one.
Okay, so this would be number 3, not the first one. Okay.
Yeah,
Did
number
you hear
3.
the distinction that I made at the beginning? I counted your work experience. I considered your projects for the very specific reason that there are some people like Ganesh. Did you know that Ganesh, according to the jobs he was applying for, his projects were more relevant versus his experience? Are you getting this now, 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗃? So if I repeat the same discussion that I had with Ganesh, 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗃 actually has 2 work experiences, so he has 5 total experiences. And it just so happens that his number 1 happens to be a work experience. Did that clarify it for you?
Yeah.
And that in Ganesh's case, his projects were more relevant to the job description. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, ask me more questions based on some of the things that you said. Is everything clearer now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now when we go back to your summary, you're going to pick, like a top bullet from Thomson Reuters, and then you're going to pick something from pi-infocom, et cetera, and then you're going to create it something like the examples that we see. Do you understand what you need to do next? Because I need
Yeah,
you to
I do.
study the case studies. Good?
Yeah.
Did we answer that question, 𝗧𝗏𝗃? Right?
Yeah.
Is it clear? All right, beautiful. Ganesh and Ahad, questions about what we just did? Because I'm going to go to Ahad's resume now.
I'm good.
I'm fine.
You're good, Ganesh?
Yeah.
Okay, Ahad, let's continue from yesterday.
And then I'm gonna share my resume.
Is this helping, guys?
You guys
Is that
see
a
it?
yes or a no?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Can you click the plus sign there, Ahad, so you can see it bigger?
Do you
Any
guys see it
more
now?
we can see it, but yeah,
Oh.
that's better. Can you give a self-assessment with everything that we've spoken to up till now?
Here's the first thing.
Actually, hang on. Let me back up. Let me see whether 𝗧𝗏𝗃 and Ganesh learned anything today. I want to hear their first impressions. 𝗧𝗏𝗃. I guess he doesn't want to talk. Ganesh?
Yeah. I think for the project,
No comments
he could.
above projects. He just happens to be on projects. Have him go to the top again.
Um,
I want to hear your assessment. I'm actually
Okay.
checking to see what you learned. Is what's going on,
Do you
Ganesh.
want me to like go through all of this like this?
Ask Ganesh because he's the one giving the assessment.
Okay. Okay. So he has projects. The work experience, I think he has worked for a couple of months. So instead of talking too much in these projects and work experience, I think he could better have a summary saying what he
Okay,
needs.
hang on.
Yeah.
You can't just say you need a summary if you didn't ask the correct questions, okay? Just the first look at a resume like this and then suggesting a resume is a big no-no because we don't know what the relevance is to the job description. So I want you to ask Ahad questions for you to determine that a summary is effective. Does that question make sense, Ganesh?
Yeah.
Okay, so what question are you asking Ahad?
Yeah. So what roles are you targeting, and what kind of work are you interested in?
Okay, let me just rephrase that question. I'm gonna direct Ahad to say, Ahad, think of the job description that this resume is tailored to.
So this job is tailored for
Okay,
data
hang
analyst.
on. Teaching moment. Let me follow up. So the question is, I'm giving directions to Ahad, okay? Think of the job description that this resume is tailored to, and then I want Ganesh to ask the next question to that, which will tell you whether he requires a summary or not. What's the question, Ganesh?
Yeah. So, what roles are you targeting? No.
𝗧𝗏𝗃, do you want to take a shot? I mean, I spent like 15 minutes doing that with your resumes. I was expecting you to do it with Ahad, but you're not. 𝗧𝗏𝗃, you remember?
Putting the experience or the projects?
No. I want you
Which is
guys.
more relevant?
Okay, so you should word it correctly. According to that job description, according to your 1, 2, 3, 4 experiences, you have 4 experiences, right? Right, Ahad?
Yeah, in this resume I have 4, but I have more than
Okay,
4.
so he has 4 experiences. So you're going to ask Ahad now, according to these 4 experiences, which one is the best match, which is what they're looking for, because that's going to decide whether he needs a summary or not. Do you get that, Ganesh?
Yes.
Do you see how it's not everybody requires a summary, right? Because I don't know how Ahad, actually I do know from yesterday. So Ahad, please answer the question, and I want Ganesh to continue the line of questioning. I want to make sure he understood what we discussed. Go ahead, Ganesh. Ask Ahad.
Yeah. What project is most important for the roles you're targeting?
What experience? Because when you
Yeah,
say what
what
project
experience?
means you're disregarding the work experience. So you say
Mhm.
which experience that is a combination of projects and work experience is top priority or most relevant to the job description. Does that make sense, Ganesh?
Yes. Yes.
So what's the answer, Ahad?
The RAG-powered document synthesizer should
Rag
be the
Powered.
first
So
one.
it's his second
Yeah.
project. Okay. So Rag Powered is his segment 1. What's your segment 2?
Then the nurse one,
The nurse assistant is segment 2. What's segment 3?
and then the Twitter sentiment
Twitter.
analysis
What's your segment 4?
and data analyst.
Data analyst. So 𝗏𝗏, Kaushik, and Ganesh, what's your conclusion? Would a summary benefit Ahad or not?
Yeah, but even if it doesn't have a summary, putting the things which are important on the top is very important right
You
now.
can't do that though. You can't do that because resumes are always written from well, I keep on getting confused. I made the same mistake again, Ahad, yesterday, because you don't have any dates for your projects and you kind of like showed us the same version that you had yesterday. I would have expected you, based on what you said, that rag power was the most important. I would have put it on top and then just arranged this correctly. So you should have rag powered on top, nurse assistant, and Twitter. Usually when people write in their resumes, including projects, they have dates on it, okay? Ahad, on the other hand, doesn't have dates on it. I'm not going to flag it. It's not a big deal to me. Okay. But again, that's just one opinion. I don't know if it's going to be a big deal to the reader, but it's projects. Okay. The place where they require dates is work experience because they usually want to know how long you've worked there. So to me, it's not a big deal that you did put dates in projects, Ahad. So to the point that Ganesh is making, you could have arranged this and you could have started projects with our Rack Powered and then Nurse Assistant and then Twitter. And then your last thing is the work experience. To Ganesh's point, it would flow very beautifully now and you don't necessarily need a summary. Questions about that?
Also, if we had dates for the projects too, that would have a clean formatting throughout the resume.
Well, it's clean or not, it's his resume. He can do whatever he wants. And I think you missed what I just said, Ganesh, because I just addressed what you're sharing. I was flagging it in that he doesn't have dates, but to me, it's not a big deal because usually they require dates of work experiences because they want to know how long you've worked at a certain place. Projects, on the other hand, are not necessarily what they're looking for as work experience. So that's what I was saying earlier. It's not a big deal to me. The usual thing that people do is they put dates. So I guess you missed what I was saying, Ganesh, in that Ahad could get away without dates. Okay, but he needs, for the purposes of relevance, to talk about, he needs to organize it such that it flows.
Yes.
Make sense, Ganesh?
Mm-hmm.
Questions? I think we lost Sai Kaushik. I want to hear from you.
I would say, I mean, like this is my point of view. In the skills section, based on Ahad saying that the RAG project is much important for him. So I would suggest the skills and tool section placing RAG in the topmost skill rather than placing it at the last so that it would give an eye-catching that even in the skill section also, based on the projects that have done according to the job description, that also gets so relevant. Maybe the skill should be placed in the chronological order. I mean, the highest to least upon the candidate's proficiency in that particular skill. So, and what I've got to know from the career services and the uh, campus fairs from the that I've attended, of an entry-level candidate resume should be restricted to one page. I don't know whether this is really true or not, because I've seen Hans having like 1.5 page, which is also fine, but there's a lot of spacing in between which can be reduced so that it gets stick into one complete page.
So 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃, what's design principle number 2?
Design principle 2.
Yeah. Do the hiring managers have a lot of time or little time?
Little time.
Very good. So 1 page, 2 page is not a matter of, oh, people without experience should only have 1 page. That's not the reason why they're saying it's 1 page or 2 page. It's about relevance. The problem is people are confused thinking that, well, it's not confused. They just assume that because a resume is a document about me, I'm just going to put everything on my resume. And that's why it becomes longer than 1 page. Okay, so I want to bring your attention to that. The reason for 1 page or 2 page is not because there's a restriction in that it has to be a 1 page or 2 page. It's really a conversation about your relevance to the job description. If you're truly relevant to their job description, and if you're honoring the fact that they're very busy, you're going to put only what they were looking for, and then you save extra information for the interview. What did you get from what I said?
I mean, the length of the resume is not the concern here. It is completely based on the relevance according to the job description.
Good job, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃. What else? Was there anything else to add? Or I think you got it. That was pretty good. Okay, so it's not about 1 page, 2 page. What happened? Oh,
Sorry?
no, I think that my system is glitching. The screen share disappeared for a second. So I want to hear what Ahad plans to do now based on this discussion. What are you going to do, Ahad?
I think I'm muted. No. Yeah. So first thing I want to do is like put the
You're looking for
right
an internship or
diagnosis.
full-time?
I was applying for internship earlier, so but now I'm looking for full-time for a winter.
Okay, so I wouldn't put education as the first thing for a full-time job.
Yeah.
I would put the experience first. In your case, project is where you're heavy on the relevance.
Yeah,
So,
because I have still school left for like a semester. That's why I just put
okay,
education
cool.
first. Yeah.
And then let me take the opportunity. Actually, let's go back up. Just a little teaching moment. January to December. Remember when you talk about? I want to introduce the concept of character ninja. All right. So January, everybody knows that JANUARY spelled out is the same as JAN.
Yeah.
December is the same as DEC. So part of what you're doing so here's a question for you guys. What's easier to read, something with white space or something that's compact? And the obvious answer is something with more white space. So an easy way to make more white space is to getting rid of, JAN. Just put abbreviations, okay? Because everybody knows it's January, August, AUG. And then in your case, you didn't have dates for projects, so it's not a big deal. And then if you go towards the experience at the bottom, scroll down, same thing, AUG and DEC for the data analyst. Okay, I actually found a way to, let me see if 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 and Ganesh caught it. Okay, my next comment is relative to 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃's catch that Ahad has a 2-page resume. what question do you think I'm going to ask of his least relevant experience?
Yeah, is too many bullet points required for the least experienced one?
Well, I wouldn't make a generalization again. I can understand how RNG, because he said was his segment one, I can understand how that could possibly have a lot of bullets. I can understand how Twitter was, Nurse Assistant was his second one. And then, do you notice how top priority is RNG and then Nurse Assistant? And guess what? The third most relevant, Twitter, has 4 bullets versus what he said was the most important. Okay, and then scroll it down even further. And then if you notice, his data analyst, which in this case is the least relevant versus the other two, he has like 5 bullets. So what do you think I'm asking of Ahad at this point? Are these bullets really all required as far as relevance to the job description, or are you just putting a laundry list and just listing it all? Are you being complete versus being relevant? What's the answer to that question, Ahad, from the data analyst standpoint?
Yeah, so this one has this thing also aligns good with the job description, but it's like part of the job description. And these tools, what I did in this job is like very important part of what I'm gonna do when I got the job. I'm gonna get a job. So this is like if you go to like higher positions, I would say you need all these tools to be like known for the same exact position. But you usually do all this stuff as
Okay,
an
hang on.
associate level.
Go back.
And this is actually higher level thing.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So are all the bullets, you said it's important, but here's the direct question. Is everything you're talking about in data analyst, did it show up in the job description?
Oh yeah, like ETL shows up, data integration shows up, and this basically like it's like management thing, turnaround time, requirement gathering and stuff. And I can get rid of this one though, like because it's like management thing, right?
Yeah,
And
that's actually,
SQL does shows up and Apache does shows up. This is a data management tool, so
okay, there's
yeah,
a reason you said that this was the last most relevant, okay? But
yeah.
you kind of hit it on the head saying, you know, you could reduce this. But what comes to mind to me, especially from the standpoint of a very busy hiring manager, is you're trying to be complete versus relevant.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
asking
trying to show
you,
them like more tools I know and I
hang
can work
on,
on it.
hang on. This is the problem when people don't get calls on the resume, because most people seem to think that the more information you have on the resume, and that's why I spend a lot of time on relevance, okay?
Yeah.
Most people seem to think that if you give them everything, okay, that you're gonna be more attractive to them. And that's what I'm trying to get the point across to you guys. By listening to you describing the least important of your first experiences, doesn't seem to me that you understood design principle number 1, because you're keeping on saying, oh yes, they said this, oh yes, they said this, oh yes, they said this. Why is it very long though? Why isn't your top priority the longest? Do you see where I'm going, Ahad?
Yeah.
So what else can you do with that, the last piece, the data analyst?
Yeah, I can get rid of this one, the first bullet point. And
You're getting rid of the first bullet point?
yeah, it's just to save the space.
Okay, so you're
And
just gonna have 4 bullets?
yeah, I actually have more experience, but it's like it was not
Hang on.
related to the job description. That's why I didn't put it on it.
Correct. Correct. I keep on hearing you trying to say, I have experience, I have experience. But if it's experience that I'm not looking for, then you're wasting your time, okay?
Yeah.
I'm teaching you guys how to be very lean and mean, okay? Because everybody seems, and you're demonstrating it right now, that you seem to feel that you need to give them all the information. No, just give them the relevant information. And then when you get the interview, then give them all the information once you're in for the interview. What did you just
Yeah,
learn with that point?
that's basically my point. Like you have something to talk about in like apart from the resume when you
No, I
get an
want you to
interview.
talk about your bullets. What did you just learn?
Oh, yeah, just put the relevant information.
Good. So you're saying you're going to make this down to 4 bullets,
Oh, yeah.
and then we're going to go deeper into how you're wording this. So any questions from Sai Kaushik or Ganesh?
No questions.
All right, so now I want to get into the bullets, but I'm not going to do it for his least relevant. I'm going to go to his most relevant. Is that okay with you, Ahad? Can we cover R and G, Howard?
Yeah.
All right, so when we get into bullets, actually, can you please share the index again? I want to just show the resources for this part of the discussion. We'll come back to this, but let me point to you. Can you open up an index? By the way, Ahad, I noticed you haven't dropped at all from the call. It's been very clear this whole time.
Yeah, because last time I was on my way to Indiana on the
I
countryside.
know, man.
The signal were
I
coming
just
in and going
realized
out.
now because yesterday was like pulling teeth.
Yeah, it was like 6 hours drive from Chicago.
Yeah.
So.
Could you open up the index? I want to show the resources to 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 and Ganesh.
Second.
Oh, it's 1:30. So I think we got on the hour mark. So I think as far as information level, we'll end with this. Did you want to share or you want me to share? All right, cool. So you see that part there where it says resume follow-up bolded right in the middle of the page. Open that, please. So 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 and Ganesh, this is going to be a resource for you. So you're seeing how it's case study. The segment one, remember what I said, segment one? We're going to talk about Ahad segment one really shortly, but this one I didn't do in person, and we did the discussion on segment one via LinkedIn. So at 11:46, the student gave me their segment one from the resume, okay? And then if you notice at 11:59, you notice parentheses, and I'm probing actually because it's not necessarily giving me the impact. Okay, and then at 12:01, the student goes, should I respond with the updated version? And then at 12:05, I'm like, yeah, please do, so that I can help you optimize the way that you worded your bullets. So this is the part that we're in, Ahad. I want to help you optimize the bullets as you had them written down. We're going to start with your segment one, but obviously you have 4 segments to work on. Does everybody understand where we're at in the process? 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 and Ganesh, that's why I went over your segments, because this is what's going to happen next. Okay, scroll down, please, Ahad. That part that says, if you guys notice at 12:12, the student answered all the questions that I had, and then at 12:51, I was able to capture the student's impact in the least amount of characters. Do you notice how segment 1 of 4 complete is very, very different from the original that the student gave me in the beginning? You guys see the progression? And then click the subsequent segments, please. So you know how like Ahad has segment 1, 2, 3, and 4? This is the whole transcript of the work for all the 4 segments. So feel free to refer to this with your study. Any questions about this before we go back to Ahad's resume? I want to get into it with him to finish this call.
No question.
Ganesh, good?
Yeah, I'm good now.
All right, good. Thanks, guys. You're kind of like sticking with me. So let's work on segment 1 for Ahad. So RNG has 3 bullets. First question to Ahad is, do you have this arranged from the most important to the least with the 3 bullets? Yes or no?
First one is fine. I mean, no. So the first one is fine, then third
Okay,
one,
so
then
you
the
need to
second one.
rearrange it then. Okay,
Yeah, third.
I don't need explanations.
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
I just need you to understand why we're doing this, and then you need to just put in the changes. All
Yeah.
right, so you need to rearrange it with the most important part and then to the least important part. So which of those 3 bullets is the most important?
First and the third and the second.
Okay, so we're going to start with develop a document processing tool that leverages, this is the part I think, Ahad, that you talked to me about while we were waiting, the part that you caught with me and Dev, okay? So remember design principle number 1. Design principle number 1 said, understand what the job description, and then talk about your results relative to that job description. So this is what I'm doing with Ahad now. So he said he developed a document processing tool that leverages retrieval augmented system technique to accurately extract information from large PDF documents. Is that a description or is that a result?
It's a description of what I
Okay.
have built.
Ganesh and 𝗧𝗰𝗂𝗃, are you understanding the granularity of this process of our discussion? Okay, that's why we just talk about design principle number one, because in order to stand out, you need to talk about results. So in Ahad's mind, he knows, according to the work that he did, that number one is most relevant to the job description. However, he did not word it in such a way that they get it. Did you guys catch the problem, 𝗧𝗃𝗂𝗃 and Ganesh?
Yes.
So now I'm going to drill into it, and that's like the rest of the workshops that we work on, because this is the biggest problem that people have, okay? They talk about tasks versus results. So let me give you a dramatic example. Bullet one for Ahad is like saying, I swept the floor. He's just describing the descriptions, okay? And then sometimes he's giving like extra information like retrieval, augmented, generation, brag. I don't know if it's relevant to the job description or not, but again, to be dramatic with my example, what most people do is they say, I swept the floor fast. They say, I swept the floor, and then to give impact, they say fast. And then sometimes they give extra information. I swept the floor fast with a broom that had a long handle, and I started in the left side of the room, and then my cat died. You see how they're talking about, you know, the information, but it's not something that's useful to the person listening. Versus saying, I led a team of 5 floor sweepers, introduced a process improvement that reduced sweeping time from 60 minutes to 5 minutes. Who would you call in for an interview? I swept the floor fast, or the second person?
Second person, of course.
So you need to have that effect. If you guys notice, the first bullet that Ahad has, he's saying he swept the floor fast. But actually he was giving, well, maybe you tell me whether you gave too much information. Was retrieval augmented generation specific to this RAG powered, or is this information that's relevant to the job description?
And this is what I have built using. This is the technique that I have used to build this, and it is relevant to
You
the
didn't
job
answer the
description.
question. You didn't answer the question. I said retrieval augmented system, is that specifically what they're looking for in the job description?
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, this is good, right? That's why he's calling out using the whole words. But 𝗧𝗃𝗂𝗃 and Ganesh, you see where I'm going, right? Sometimes the information that we give them is like saying the broom with the long handle, and then I started in the left side of the room. That's why you need to really study what the job description is saying. And then the expert as to what you bring to the table is really you. So it's really your call, such that the person reading it gets the impact. But we didn't get the impact based on his wording, the first bullet. Are the other 2 bullets possibly supportive information to the first?
Yeah, so second one is like, it's in chronological order. So first one is I develop and what it did and how it affects. So
yeah, actually you didn't give impact. The second one, you said the system identified optimal strength. You're describing what the system did. You're not describing what Ahad did that's impactful. Do you see the issue here? You said the system identified optimal health. I understand that you created the system. So you're kind of like saying, because you created the system, it was your impact. However, you're not giving the impact. Like I said earlier, I led a team of 5 floor sweepers, introduced a process improvement that reduced sweeping time from 60 minutes to 5 minutes. So there's something that's not written in your first 2 bullets. So let's pull it out. So without regard to the bullets that you wrote, Ahad, this is what you'll hear in some of the workshops, okay? One of the ways to call out your task descriptions versus the result is the process that we're doing. So dump on me as to what you did with the RAG-powered document synthesizer, and then 𝗧𝗃𝗂𝗃 and Ganesh and I are going to be listening as to what you accomplished. So don't worry about what you say, just tell us what you did.
okay, so
Oh.
this was a project where the customer was having issues with extracting.
Customer?
Yeah, it was a customer. It was a
So
project.
this was a school project, but you had an external customer?
No, this wasn't a school project. This was a like customer-based project. Yeah,
Okay,
project.
cool. So was that like a big company?
No, it was like a guy
Smaller
who was
company?
working on, yeah, it was a guy who was working on some startup thing, and he wanted help with this document
Okay.
synthesizer.
So this was like a personal, hey, can you help me with this type thing? Or was it
Yeah,
through the company
yeah,
you were? Okay. So some company, local company, came to you and then they requested your assistance, right? So did you
yeah,
volunteer or did you get paid?
yeah. It was paid.
Okay. So was there a timetable from this customer?
We did it in like a month or something. Yeah,
But
in a
he
month.
didn't give you a deadline.
No, I mean he said
Okay.
how long it's gonna take, so we said it's gonna take a month.
Okay. And then did you deliver right on a month or did you deliver it ahead of schedule?
No, we did like maybe in like 20 days or something, but we gave
Okay,
it
that's
like
very good. If you did it in 20 days, you kind of delivered it in 66.6% of the time, right? Do you see what I'm trying to do here?
here.
I'm trying to bring out your impact, okay? But it seems that you kind of like missed some of these details, very similar to if you go back to the video from yesterday, I had a similar discussion with Dev in that he was giving me all these, and then he just said, kind of like you just said you develop a document and then the system identified, but it sounds like it's bigger, right? You had a deadline, you delivered it, 30% ahead of schedule, right? Did you have a budget?
No, it was like
No budget?
yeah, just project,
Okay.
no talent.
What else was deliverable that you gave the customer? I guess you need to give me, I mean, I don't know this. I'm trying to ask questions
Yes, so he was having issues with he was the product he was building was he was having issues like extracting data from the civil engineers I just mentioned here. So he had like a bunch of PDFs that he wanted to use and extract information from them as fast as possible. As he like using a chatbot, he would question the chatbot about the documents, and he would get relevant answer from whatever he has like given us as a PDF documents. So this like help him uh like like research time. So I mentioned you reduce manual data compilation
So
and
isn't
research
that the
time been
result
estimated.
actually?
Oh
Isn't
yeah,
that the first? I
yeah.
think that's your first bullet.
To be honest, like I don't know how well it impacted him because we didn't have and we were not in connection, but we did what he wanted us to do,
Well,
and
you
he was happy
impacted
with it.
him. You
Yeah,
said you delivered in 20 days where the expectation was a month.
yeah.
And then this estimated, I wouldn't say 35 to 40, I would say estimated 37%. And then instead of saying estimated, I would use the tilde. You know what that is?
Yeah,
Kind of like the curved line
yeah,
and say
Cello.
37%. So what was your basis of knowing it was 37%?
Yeah, he said it help us, but I just put a like random word on it to be honest.
Oh, you came up with that actually?
Yeah, to be honest. Yeah, because he said yeah, it was like I came up with it. Like it should have helped at least this person. Because
Well, that's
they were doing it
fine.
manually, they were
Yeah,
compiling
yeah, yeah. Hang
everything
on. I
out.
don't need all those details, man. Okay, but what I'm telling you is that I don't mean to cut you off like with all the details, but I'm trying to get the information out to you. So just make sure that if we call out 37%, if they ask you during the interview, you should have some credible story as to how you got that data.
Okay.
Does it make sense? So
Yes.
any data, this applies to 𝗥𝗲𝗃 and Ganesh. I mean, because if you think about it, to your point, nobody really measures this stuff, right? I mean, even if it's like a real job, unless you
Yeah,
were
exactly.
collecting data for it, you really don't have it. But if you have it on your resume, you'd better be prepared for them to ask you about it, and you'd better have a credible story to explain how you got that data. Make sense? So that's why I was stopping you with all the details, because you need to go back to the drawing board and you come up with your credible story. Questions? Did I lose the HUD again?
No, I'm here.
Okay, so here's the next steps for you, Ahad, and actually 𝗥𝗲𝗃 and Ganesh. Your homework is to work on your segment 1. We just work on segment 1 for Ahad. So I want you to capture all those bullets, send it to me in a LinkedIn message and say, Bernie, this was the original. And then this is my proposed change. And then we'll take it from there. And then I want you to go back to the LinkedIn index. I want to give you guys more resources to do the homework that I just gave you. Any questions before I have you go back to the index from anybody?
What do you think about these? Like, you see the system, I haven't used anything over here in these bullet points.
What's your
The
question?
system, you know, the one that you mentioned, the system and this streamlined process, like which was not referring to me, but the system. And what would you think about these,
Well,
which
that's
is
why
like
you need to,
referring to me?
yeah, you need to study like some of the material. That's why I gave you the case studies and some of the other calls. Obviously, we can't dive into it out here, but that's why I give you guys all sorts of resources, because I've done this with all those other students, right? I mean, it'll take us all day here to do this individually for the three of you. That's why we send you the resources. You need to do some work, and that's why I cover. I mean, if you notice, I'm trying to get you the information. I give you the resources so that you could do the work, and then when you come back to me, it's just like checking it off, so that we're much, much more efficient. Okay, so when you ask me, what do I think of this? Well, that's kind of like a loaded question. Did you notice how I kind of went into a deep dive with the RNG? I'd have to go through that same process to give you an idea of what it says. But on first look, I'm seeing the quantification, it looks good. But again, you guys know that it boils down to relevance to the job description. It boils down to that you take responsibility that the reader gets the impact according to their job description. That's really what a resume should do, right? They told you what they want, then you can communicate it very accurately such that they get that you're the person that they want to call in for an interview. Did I answer that question in a roundabout way, Ahad?
Yeah.
So let's go to the index. We'll finish this call with that. And then we'll send you guys the recording so you can study this. Back to the index, I want to show you that section. The problem that you guys have, Ahad, is usually the problem for like 90% of students. So you see case study, go further down, please. You see that optimized bullet 3 with AI chat GPT? Aside from resume follow-up earlier, you could use that to help you use AI with some of the refinement. So close that window, please, back to the index. And then under the index, scroll down further at the cut of the page. It says describing, still in hashtag resume. You went too far. There you go. Describing versus accomplishments and results, all the way to career log is the section that helps you with the difficulty where we're at. Ahad. So click the first one, actually, describing versus accomplishments and results. So I'm going to see if Ganesh and 𝗧𝗏𝗃 are still awake. The three of you are hiring managers. Hiring manager Ganesh, hiring manager 𝗧𝗏𝗃, and hiring manager Ahad. Who will you call in for an interview, A, B, or C?
Definitely
Yes,
see.
𝗧𝗏𝗃 and Ganesh are sleeping. Ahad says C.
No, I think C is better.
C
More
is
impact.
better. And
C.
𝗧𝗏𝗃?
I'd
Okay.
go with C.
Yeah, so the effect that C had on you guys as the hiring manager is the effect your bullets need to have for the reader of your document. So that's the challenge that you now have with this homework I gave you. How do you communicate your impact, just like C did, so that they get it just by reading what you said, okay? If you notice Ahad, he said his top two bullets were the top priority that the reader should read first. And then when I read it, it's like task descriptions. It's not communicating it just like candidate C. So X out of this, Ahad, please. Going back to the index. On the left. The next one under it says results versus describing. Open that, please. So this one is projects. Most of you had projects, especially for Ganesh, his big one. Click the picture on the right. Those are two pictures. That's, yeah, the other one. The other one. Okay, so this picture, the student didn't even bother to describe the project. He just cut and pasted this from the syllabus, and this showed up in the resume. So after having design principle, discussion, blah, 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 now go to the other picture. This is the result, same project, but it was now worded in such a way that the reader gets the impact of the person with the project. Are you guys getting ideas?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, close this, and then the bullet, X out of this, back to the index.
Just a second, I have to.
So at the bottom where it's bolded, it says career log, accomplishments and results. So that entire section is what's going to help the three of you. So open that career log, please. So you see the check marks, $say. If you notice the line of questioning that I was asking Ahad earlier had to do with some of these things. Was there a time frame that was allotted? Okay, so workflow, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of this article, keep going until the end. Notice they have a poor, better, and great bullet. The last one isn't the greatest because it's the longest. It's the greatest because it gives the reader an idea of the impact. I probably wouldn't have worded it this way, or it's a bad example, but your task is to communicate your impact in the least amount of words. Make sense? So you
Yeah,
guys
makes sense.
clear?
Yeah.
Are you guys clear with what your homework is and my expectation from the messages I'm to receive from you on LinkedIn?
Yep.
No
Yeah.
questions? You guys
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
All right. I gave you guys the resources. I hope this discussion was helpful. Thank you so much for attending this. Stay tuned to future sessions for resume. Sometimes some people were able to resolve it with just LinkedIn messages. Sometimes we need a follow-up like Ahad. Ahad was on the session yesterday and we continued the discussion today. So we're going to have more of these. Just watch the LinkedIn group and then just register for it. All right. Thank you again for joining today, guys. I will send out the recording shortly. So talk to you soon.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Jordy. Have a
You're
good day.
welcome.
Have a good
Bye,
day.
guys.